It is with absolutely great pleasure that I have Joy Verde on to the podcast. I would say, I don't know if I would be a realtor if it wasn't because of you. I really mean that. There's no one that I can say wholeheartedly in any industry that I have worked in that I admire and that I respect in every decision and advice that you have given me over the years. So I will continue to gush. I will continue. If you don't like gushing, don't listen to this podcast. Here we go. But you are, I mean, I don't even want to say you're not just an agent, but 35 years in the business? Is that what you said? 35 years in the business.
This year will be 35 years. Yeah.
And I'm breaking the rule because, as everybody knows, and I've had lots of agents reach out to me and ask me to be on the podcast. And I say, I'm really sorry. That's not what our podcast is about, or my podcast is about. Not that there are a lot of agents that I really respect, but yeah, I just, I'm breaking the rule because, you broke the mold. And I'm having you on because I really feel like the business is taking a turn. It's changing like at every week, every month. There's just something, I feel it in the air. And I had this gentleman, Mike McCara, on. He is, I don't think he likes to be called president, but he's part of Reach Canada. So they're prop tech and I mentor for them and they're lovely with Evan Sage. Like I'm amongst these amazing people and I really enjoy it. And it combines my digital background with real estate. And I think that it's lovely to come full circle with someone like you who knows what the business was like 35 years ago. Because I feel like it was different 5 years ago.
Absolutely. And it's always changing, like any industry, but ours specifically. But first I want to say mutual admiration. Come on, Rachel, you were 23 years old and your mom had passed and you came to me and said, I have $20,000 down.
Oh my God, did I even have $20,000?
Maybe not. I don't remember.
I was $20,000.
And I want to buy a house. And I said, okay, let's do this. And you had the courage to buy your first house and rent out the basement. And we went through this together. I remember how hard it was to get the mortgage. And I don't know any other young adult back in 1994, 98, or whenever it was that, went out and did that. And you were just always a go-getter and you were always had the courage to go out for your dreams. And so buying that house at that age gave you such insight to being a great realtor. So when you came to me to be a realtor and get out of media sales, I was like, absolutely. I remember,
sweet,
calling Duluth and saying, you got to hire her. She's too great.
Thank you.
So congratulations on all your success. And I'm sure your clients just adore how much you care and how thorough you are.
Thank you. I adore each and every one of them and you. That was...
So the change in the business.
Can we talk about one thing that I did that I actually talked about it on a podcast when I had a home inspector. But do you remember... you were like, okay, we need a home inspection on that house on Whitmore.
Yes.
And I was like, oh yeah, no, it's okay. My friend's father's in construction. Yes. And you go, no. You go, no, we need a home inspector. I said, no, it's fine. He's going to come do it because again, I also had like no money. I don't even remember what it was. Now it costs $600, and I mean, I think, and you got them down. Like they were, whatever it was, and you shaved money off of it and then got like a GFI plug put into the bathroom because it wasn't there and you had everything done for me. And I remember he came and I'll never forget, this is now, I don't remember what I did yesterday. I remember this 25 plus years ago. He came in the house and he jumped up and down on the floor.
Yes.
And he goes, yeah, it's good. And you went, oh my God, no. Yeah, and
that's funny. I don't remember that, but
yeah.
I mean, that's another thing. Like we can talk about home inspections.
Oh
right?
gosh,
how things have changed in 35 years.
Home inspections, I remember on my second house, and I'm getting ahead of myself, and we'll go back. But like, I remember on our second house when we sold it, it wasn't staged, and I remember it was right before the double property tax was coming in.
That's right.
And it was like the dead of December when no one sells their house. And I had been flirting with like buying another house, bigger house. And you were like, Rachel, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it now. Like, we're just going to do this. And you went to the agent, you went, if you don't do this, I'm going to stage it. And we're going to get multiple offers. And you talked her into and put the fear of God in her, and we got an offer and we sold it. Oh my God, we made so much money on that house.
Yes.
Oh my God.
The way it should be.
Oh, exactly. And, but staging, I mean, that wasn't a thing.
No, so many things weren't a thing. So many things.
Okay, so 35, let's go back. So 35 years ago, you have a similar story. You also started media. You wanted to be in front of the camera, so welcome back. What made you go into real estate? Your father was in real estate.
That's it. My father was a real estate lawyer, and we were living in Europe, and he convinced my husband and I to come back and get our licenses. And I didn't, like you, didn't own a home and was very young. And I was like, real estate, why? And then it was the years of power sale, and I made my business off of people I didn't know, which was one of the things that was very important to me. I didn't want my friends and family to feel obligation. Mm-hmm. I wanted to work for people I didn't know, and we went in and cleaned these power sales.
Wow.
And the guy from Royal Trust said, who are these kids? Why are these houses selling? And he called me into the office, and he opened a cupboard with keys. And he said, how many do you want? Because we just, out of sheer grit, went in. We didn't stage.
And hard work.
We cleaned.
Oh, yes.
We just cleaned. We maybe touched up, painted. We paid off squatters to get out. We got rid of all the garbage. And these houses were selling. And that's how we made our mark 35 years ago. It was 1990. You can imagine what was going on there.
Wow. I mean, and I think that that's a big difference. I think that, and we've seen it, and again, like I think there's room for everyone in this business, and everyone who works hard, there's room for it. So I'm never disparaging on anyone, but I think that there are a lot of agents, and I've seen it, that got their license during COVID, where, things were flying off the shelf. Yes. And, are not used to a year or a period of time where, like, I've scrubbed my share of floors. Like,
you got to be in for the long haul, and you've got to be consistent. Even so, going back to home inspections, when I started doing pre-list inspections, it was not offered. I did them because I didn't know enough about construction, and in those days we renegotiated everything. So you sold a house, there was a home inspection, and then there was all abatements.
Right.
So I decided
after the deal was done.
That's right.
That's so interesting.
Always.
So you've got a deal done.
And they're coming back for abatements. And I would say to my sellers, you know what, I don't know enough, you don't know enough. We're going to do a home inspection. Right. And then I'll have ammunition when they come back to get a price change. So
smart. Yes, of course.
So what happened was I was so knowledgeable that agents had a hard time, and they said, how do you know this? And I said, I have a home inspection. Would you like to look at it? And so I'm not saying it was out of brilliance. It was out of sheer wanting knowledge. I think that I was one of the key people that started pre-list home inspections. So went to a lawyer, went to a home inspector, found out legally what the obligations were, because I was offering these home inspections. So back in the day when I got into the business, I'd say 75% of all agreements were renegotiated with an abatement for repairs from a home inspection.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that the deal is done.
Yes.
And now that, like, I think about the mentality of buyers and sellers as they are today. Yes. And how I've had buyers come back, doing their, I hate to say this, but that, like, last pre-inspection, like the day before, which, listen, at the end of the day, like, what are you doing the day before? And, like, unless the house is flooded, or your front door is kicked in, there's not much in this day and age that's going to happen, right?
Fair enough.
So it's so interesting to me that, and I think that that's what happens is there's this expectation. And so now once a deal's done, and I've said this a million times to clients, like, we're going to walk through, literally, like, that whole gray area, like, are shelves attached to the house?
That's
Are
right.
they a chattel? Are they a fixture, right? So I'm like, we need to walk through the entire, like point it out, because if you want it, it needs to be written in there, because otherwise it's gone.
Well, how many times now in the business do you get this? I have a deal right now where I got the comment, it was like that when you saw the house. Mm-hmm. Well,
that's what their lawyer told you to say.
Yeah.
Them to say. Yeah. Right.
Right. So it's really hard to, it's that gray area of what's in good working order, what you saw when you walked through the house. And the level of expectation was very, very different when we got into the business about, let's face it, how many buyers are taking pre-list inspections, not really reading them, not calling the home inspector, not doing a walkthrough. And not that home inspections are the end, because they're not. They're 2-hour visual inspection of a house. But
they can be very superficial.
100%.
Very superficial.
But it's important for that buyer to be there. Like, this is my biggest complaint from 35 years ago to today would be the face-to-face. And we've talked about this before we got on, presenting offers. I miss that so much.
I have to call Darren Slavens out on that one, because he's like, I think it was last year, he goes, I'm bringing in-person offers back. That's it. That's my goal for the year, and it never happened. But
it's huge. I mean, the sellers feel part of it, the buyers feel part of it. You're all meeting. How many houses have I sold in the last 10 years? I've never met the seller. I just think that, buyers are getting emailed offers and ticking the buttons and initialing and signing.
I know.
And it's not being explained.
Well,
you spend more time buying a sweater than reading an agreement of purchase and sale when it's the biggest purchase you're making. So there's so much lost. Like, no, it wasn't fun to sit in our cars for hours and hours.
No, but we did it. And I have to tell you, there was nothing more rewarding than when you won. Right. Although I have to say, so I got in on the tail end of it before COVID, because that's really what shut it down.
Yeah.
And DocuSign.
And all the emails and lazy agents. Absolutely.
Very
yes.
true. And I have to tell you, I found it so hard to be on the list side. I mean, that's just my personality also. Like, when I was during COVID, like I was very blessed to be inundated more with listings than I was with buyers. And I know what those buyers were going through and how hard it was. And they were sending letters in, and they were with their babies, and and we love your house. And I had one. I remember I had one when I was at Chestnut Park. I had one condo at 1231 Yonge, and I had so many offers on it. And I mean, they showed up, and they were sitting outside, and the agent, and I was like, like, I didn't even know how to say no to them. It was so tough. But I agree with you that it's become this very, and I think that that's the biggest difference, is that it's become a very cold, transactional process. I don't want to say industry. I want to say process.
Yep, that's fair.
And I think that this idea that the four walls in this house, Joy got us for a steal, of course. And these four walls, I mean, I don't remember what my interest rate was when I bought this. I barely, I remember what I paid for it, but I've been here for 15 years, and it's, it almost is irrelevant at this point. And this mentality that the house is now got to be something that you got at the best price and you made the most money at, and it's, instead of being, is it the right neighborhood? Am I going to raise my children here? Does it have good bones? Is this like the longevity of where I see my family? And yes, no one wants to get ripped off. No one wants to overpay. But is $50,000 an overpayment if you're going to be there for 20? Like, I say that to my clients, right? Like,
I think we'll have to go back to that, because I mean, none of us know where the market is, but I think the future, maybe that is going to be, we are going to see way less gains on our homes. We have to. The reality of interest rates, affordability, and everything. So I think it'll be lovely if people stop looking at their principal residence as a way to make money. I think if they start, as you say, looking at it as a home and making those decisions, because like land transfer taxes double, legal fee, like you look at it all.
It costs
Same with
so much
repairs and renovations, like renovations that are an all-time high. I'm advising my clients, even like I did with you 35 years ago.
Totally.
1 to 3% of the value of the house is going to be put in. Do you have that money aside? There's always going to be something.
I remember you asking me, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, don't worry, Joy.
I'll make it work. I'll get rental income.
I mean, listen, there's people like me who, I mean, I bought, I don't even think I remember any home inspection. I just wanted it, right?
Yeah,
like to me,
yeah.
mine was this is the neighborhood I want to buy. The price sounds right. I can afford it on paper. I will figure out the rest, because you can't control where the market's going. And you know what? Even if you have a home inspection, there's listen, full visibility. I have water coming into my basement. I don't know where. I'm going to have to underpin. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have whatever. But that's what but is it, oh my God, I bought the wrong house? No.
It happens.
The right house.
It happens.
Right?
No, but
that's it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It definitely happens.
I've seen brand new builds have water in their house in their first spring. I mean, that's the reality. You don't know.
Exactly.
You don't know.
Exactly.
But then there are people, and I get that, and I think that a lot of what's happened is that the media and, the like, my neighbor heard or whatever it is, has caused people to be very nervous. And so they're overanalyzing. Am I paying the right price? And so, and then the whole automation of it all, right?
The automation has been positive in some areas. I love that buyers and sellers can get online and get all that information and data.
I love that that's your perspective.
I have no issues with that. And I'm there to
whatsoever.
explain it, and I'm there to help them understand it. That is not why they hire me.
No.
So to me, it's a plus. And they should feel, because especially the younger generation, I get it. They want all that data, and they're analysts.
But they deserve that data.
I was giving it to them even before it was available to them. So I have no issues with that. I think it's helpful, and it should be disclosed. Everything should be disclosed.
I agree with you. I think that if your value proposition is only to tell someone the value of the home that sold next door, I think you should just hand your license in. I'm sorry. I really do. And I think that there's nothing wrong with saying that our value proposition has shifted.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fair. I think that the expectations of prepping a house, staging, all the costs that we go through and what we run in our business, I think that buyers and sellers should understand it better, but that's okay. I mean, any business have costs, and any business has those. In terms of changes, I miss agents' open houses big time.
Yeah. They're kind of coming back, but people don't really go.
No, but I think that it's your job to see your inventory. Whether you have a buyer or seller or not, you should be out seeing inventory every day. The conversations you have with all your colleagues when you're out on tour, who bid on what last night, what was the scenario, like that's any industry. Why they're asking people to go back to the office. We don't live in our basement or in our den with a work shirt and sweatpants. We need to be with people. We need to be out there. Your inventory is key, and seeing it, you don't see it online. No. You do not. You do not know. So I would love to bring that back. That would be helpful. I think that people would be out every day.
Oh, I think brokerages should bring them back.
I hope so. That would be a good change.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I also think that agents doing that bring more value to the table with their clients because, and you've seen it a million times, a comp is not what it is necessarily what you see on paper. Exactly. If you haven't spoken to that agent,
that's right.
You haven't understood, if you haven't walked through, especially condos, but even houses, you can see everything on paper. If you can't say, no, I was in that, it was interesting. I had a call from a guy who's a flipper. He flips condos. And he calls me about this unit that I have in the conservatory. And he's like, well, he says, well, these two that are similar to yours sold for this much, so, I would offer you this. And I said, have you walked into either of them? I had been to both of them, because you need to see everything. Like, how do you put a brand out on the market and not know what your competition is, right? So how am I supposed to not only launch your brand, which is your house or your condo, without understanding what the competition is? And then when someone comes and negotiates with me, if I don't have that as art, like as my utility, like there's no way I can do a good job.
I couldn't agree more. Like seeing product.
How is that not something that happens on a regular basis? I would rather and sorry, I'm now I'll get in trouble, but like I would rather see Treb, and going back to that paperwork about how people just click so they went from working with a realtor as a one-pager to a 16-page booklet that I'm just gonna say that no one's gonna read.
Right.
And I sit in front of my clients and I explain, and they're looking at me going, can you stop? Rachel. And I go, I'm sorry. Legally, I have to do this. I have to explain to you the legalities of what it means when you're signing this. But instead of doing that, where is the oversight of doing the due diligence for your client? Forget the paperwork. I mean, paperwork is very important.
I agree. I'm sitting on the board now at Treb because I want to give back to my industry.
Oh.
I want to make some changes.
I love it.
I have time now, and I just decided to do it. I want to be on the board. I really feel...
The industry just got better. Now, the industry just got better. But I
really feel like, let's put the humanness back in a lot of this.
Oh, that's so amazing.
You
are amazing.
No, I really feel that we'll all be better, and even how we treat each other as agents.
Oh, I could
We're
not
all
agree
trying
more.
to do our best job for everybody. Let's put the humanness back in it. If I get a call, I remember an agent, she still remembers me for it. I was on a plane, we had made a deal, and she called me while I was taking off, and she said, oh my God, Joy, I don't know what to do. My clients changed their mind. What do we do? And it was a firm deal. I didn't have a deposit yet. I told her to relax. It's all going to be okay. My clients will be disappointed, but it's okay, and I'll handle it.
Has anyone ever done that to you, Joy?
Yes.
Me.
Yeah.
I did that to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've learned, and you know what? And I think a shout out to, I'm trying to think out who helped me, Janet Lindsay. I was a young kid.
Wow.
Janet Lindsay. Give her
Legend.
a shout out. Legend. And I had that happen to me, and she said the same thing to me. And I learned that from her. And so I gave it back, let's pay the goodness forward.
I could not agree more.
I have a deal right now, and the agent said to me, she just said, you saw the house that way, and, and I said, I'm really losing trust in your sellers. And she said, we're stopping this conversation right now. And I wasn't attacking her, I was sharing with her how I truly was concerned for my young buyers.
Right. What else?
And don't shut me down. Let's work together to make everybody happy.
Well, and I think that's being lost a little. And I've said this too. First of all, I've seen my clients choose to work with an offer primarily because of the way the agent acted. And I will say this, I 100% will not work with bullies. And I won't and I took a page out of your book because there was not a day that Joy represented me that I did not feel protected. And I have taken that every single day of my career because it meant so much to me. And I've always said, and it's to that guy who called me, and I said, you know what? I said, I respect that you have your numbers on that condo. I said, but my clients, this is their parents' condo and they're survivors, and we're not gonna fire sale it to you. So thanks so much for the call. And he's like, I don't appreciate how you're talking to me. I said, I'm not talking to you anyway. I said, but I care about my clients. And I said, I'm not gonna let them get bullied.
Right.
And that's it. And so I think that really humane part of it, because there are a lot of mover shakers that come in and they just wanna, throw it around and show who's boss. And at the end of the day, as much as automation is coming in and AI, this is still about the personal relationship. It's still their home.
No, it's 100% about the personal relationship. It means everything. So that's what our job is as a realtor. And so where have things, technology will change, AI will, everything will change. What will not change is how you make people feel. Do you remember my no need, no hurry, no trust?
No.
Okay, my no need, no hurry, no trust is you cannot create a need for a client to buy or sell something, nor the timeline. Not your job. Your only job is to build trust. Mm-hmm. Because it's like any friendship, it's like any intense relationship. When trust is there,
correct,
you look after people, and people feel they feel safe. And I think it's a world where it's such an intense purchase and sale. You need to feel safe. Like, how many clients did I try to talk into, and now they thank me, taking 10-year mortgages? It wasn't heard of. But I said, we're buying this house and your family cannot cope with a change of a payment. So forget the 1%. Let's look at the next 10 years and your school bills and your mortgage and your incomes. Let's talk about a 10-year mortgage. You know how many people called me back when things went crazy with rates and thanked me?
But that was also something that, and I think, and the good ones, we talked a couple of names, we're not going to name drop, but before we started the filming, is, as an agent, you're not just buying and selling for them. You're giving them mortgage advice. You're giving them life advice.
Legal.
You're giving them, well, I don't want to say legal out loud, but yeah, but I would say, listen, I'm giving them my advice and connecting and saying, I'm not a lawyer,
yes,
and I'm very much about a team approach. I like everybody involved from day one. But I would also say, I think that, going back to your home inspection, you need to be able to walk into a house. I remember very early on, you said, come and meet me. I'm doing a walkthrough for a client. You're doing a pre-inspection, and you go, see how this floor is sloping this way, Rachel? You go, this is bad, this is good. It's not, oh, it was nice, it was in a good neighborhood. Yeah, no, the price, no. You need to understand how that house was built, the red flags, all of that. And we talked about it briefly on our call, but there's this platform that someone has now come up with that is an auction type to find your agent. I could not have stronger feelings about this if I tried. And I want to say, not because I feel threatened by it. There's nothing about this platform that threatens me. Have at it. In fact, I reached out to Daniel Foch because he's on the board of it or is being asked, and I said, I want to bring you on because I really want to. Yeah. I want to grill you about it, but it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
That is not what our business is about, and I would say we've had for sale by owner since day one. I don't see any different. I think that's just an automated version of for sale by owner.
It is, but it's the same way like when you want an electrician, you can reach out to these sites and they'll all bid on your job.
Right.
So, but how many people are going to do that? Most of our clients or anybody, they're going to get recommendations from friends. They're going to look at signs in the neighborhood. Like, I think that anyone who, wants to auction a listing, I have been asked once to come in and I got this list of things before the meeting. I, gratefully declined. I said, we're not a fit.
Yeah, and that's okay.
You can gratefully decline, but those things are they're a reality of our world.
For sure. In everything, for sure. Yeah. There's no question. And I also believe that there's something for everybody. So I'm not for everybody. And I was sharing with you, I was referred to someone who asked me for cashback at the end of the transaction. And I respect them for asking. And I said, we're not a good fit. Yeah. I don't do that. Yeah. But there are agents that do. And I wish you all the best in your house hunt. Exactly. No problem. Absolutely. So going back, I find the staging part, do you remember that, like, when that stage, like when staging
Yes.
came about,
Yes.
like when it,
Yes.
tipping point, okay, tell us.
Because I was like right at the beginning of that, as I said.
That's a huge investment for I think about young agents and what they put out. And,
Yes.
And we all know there's good staging and not so good
Well,
staging.
it was back, I guess, I'd have to say 20 years ago, because I think one of the first people that I recommended to go into the business was Carmen Wageman of Stage Right.
Okay.
Because she was a designer for one of our clients.
Oh my God, she's been in it that long.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
for her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And she was doing the design work, and then Mary and Neil and I, there's another great name, got her into doing these small, like when staging started, we were rearranging their existing furniture.
So you were, right.
We
You
were
just freshening it up.
decluttering, we were
Right.
freshening up. Where it's gone to is amazing, and it really does work.
Oh yeah.
100%
I agree.
return, if not more.
Without a doubt.
And the expectations of the buyers are there. They're, walking into a prepared listing. It's not just staging, it's everything we do. Floor plans and home inspection and whatever it is.
And also, by the way, you cannot stage an as-is house. Like there's so much.
Oh no! What do we call it? Lipstick on a pig.
Lipstick on a pig, exactly.
No, as is you sell as is.
No, but what I'm saying is like there's, I'll have clients who will have something. They're like, okay, you're going to stage, and I'm going to go, okay, so walls are pink, right? Like that's
Yes.
going to be really tough. We're going to need to, like as you said, it's a holistic.
Yes,
from
it's
top
the
to
same
bottom.
with knob and tube wiring. Like I'm not afraid to get out the ESA to do an inspection.
Of course.
And get it cleared and do whatever we need to get the mortgage.
100%.
So I think it's all part of the staging.
Yes.
Disclosure, don't paint a leaky wall. Like it's just not, that's not what staging is. And
No.
so staging has, like, it's amazing. Like there's agents with trucks and staging warehouses and, and I think that it just developed over time that, like anything, we just kept adding layers. Yeah. So when people realized painting and then light fixtures and, it just started, and now it's like countertops, backsplashes, painting kitchen cabinets, replacing the floors. It's, it's gone to a next level. And I think buyers, it's funny enough, I think buyers will start, and they have started, my clients anyways, to see, they don't want a totally flip staged house.
No.
They
Isn't that
want
so
the
interesting?
original bones.
Good bones.
And
do it
they're willing to do it
themselves.
themselves.
It's
and
so interesting you're seeing that too, because
I am
also
seeing that a lot. They walk in and they're like, and same with the whole multiple bidding offer, bully offer, I think that's really changing too. And I was one of the few agents that in the peak of bidding wars, I always held the top offer. I never let them bid against themselves. And if I had a seller who wanted the top offer to bid against themselves, then they were not my clients. Because to me, the fairness of having a buyer feel that it was a fair process, the other agent feeling it was a fair process, was so key to me.
there was a lot of unfairness in those years, for sure.
And not on my deals.
Yeah.
Not when I was the listing agent. It would not happen. So, I think that the whole bully offer process and, has Treb tried to clean it up? Of course they've tried. Rico's tried. But buyers are smarter, and good agents are walking from those processes and saying there's always another house.
Well, there is always another house. I mean, I remember I had clients who were they were an older couple, parents of clients of mine, and they were looking to downsize. They were in Durham. And remember, Durham went mental during COVID. And there was a place, and they were only allowing 15-minute visits. And I said to them, "You're not going." And they said, "What?" I said, I'm not allowing you to go. I said, "You're not going to make a decision on 15 minutes. Absolutely not. I won't let you do it." Yeah. No. Yeah. I said, "That's disgusting." I said, "Actually, that's really gross."
Yeah,
I said,
no, I agree
you
with
do
you.
not want to do a deal with these people, and you do not want to make such a decision. No. And I think that, going back to those days of, and I think that there's that misconception, because we just have such a bad rap, like as just an overall industry, unfortunately, is that people, and I don't think everyone, but I think that there's that thought that agents want that craziness, that we're just making hand over fist and we just love it and we've got to, and I think there are people that are like that, don't get me wrong, but I think that what they don't realize is that and that old adage, like 90% of the business is done by 10% of us, but most of the 10% of us, we just want a good balanced market. Joy and I want to sit here and have a conversation like this and we've never done a deal together, which is so sad.
I know.
One day. But that ultimately we can have a respectful conversation, negotiation and we were saying this the other day, that my client can go back a second time, maybe even a third time and take their parents, maybe a fourth time and take a contractor. I mean, nowadays, like I've had clients who are like, "Ooh, can we go a second time?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Can you go?" People just have been so conditioned to believe. I said, "You should be going a third, fourth time as long as you want to go. And if it sells, it wasn't meant to be. That's okay. Till you're ready."
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I hope it goes back to that. Our theme today is how things have changed. Yeah. I think we need to slow down.
I agree. I think we need to actually go backwards. In that way, I think we need to slow down. I think prices will, even though I think it's going to be a busy spring, volume-wise, I think prices will be lateral even, I don't know what you're seeing, but even
I just hope we get some more inventory.
I think that the inventory is coming.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think the inventory is coming. The question is what the inventory is going to be. Because right now I've seen a decent amount of entry level, but that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen a lot of move up.
And I've seen a lot of people who bought in the peak who need to sell.
Yeah, me too.
And that is so sad. And them coming out for less than they paid. And that's always...
I have a couple of those.
Yeah, it's always hard. And I'm just trying to convince them that if they're buying and selling in the same market, and they can do it, or, but we need inventory. You're right. It's not the entry level. It's like, where does the entry level move up to? And what's going to happen. And the high-end market, surprisingly enough, has been extraordinarily strong. It's incredible, actually.
It's incredible. Well, and I think, I hate to say this and get into this minute, but I think that division of wealth, I think there are, and I said this, I think a year ago, 2 years ago, for the first time, and I've only been in the business 12 years compared to your 35, but I am seeing for the first time that generation of renters. I really do believe. I think that, when I was introduced to first-time buyers years ago, I'd be like, there's always options. Do you know what I mean? I'd always be like, you know what, if you're fluid and you're willing to, compromise on areas, and I'm not saying compromise and living but that you're open to different opportunities, there's always going to be something. And I don't know if that's the case as much.
No, it's not. Because where do they get that down payment? How do they carry those mortgages? It's hard. I mean, for you and I, we have clients, there's a huge transfer of wealth. And most of my first-time buyers are not doing it on their own. No. And parents are thinking, you know what, I'll give it to them when I'm alive and I can see them enjoy. And about baby beautiful. Boomers, it's a huge transfer of wealth. Yeah. Like the days of, we're part of that generation, buying something at $400 and selling it for $3 million and pulling that kind of appreciation tax-free.
It's not.
Right? So the transfer of wealth is needed to get those young people in the market.
Well, I mean, now when you have parents coming along, it's because they're not because they're giving
helping.
Advice. It's because they're helping.
And that's the only way.
And there's no way.
There's no way. I
mean, I had a client who sold. We sold in North Lawrence Park, and he kept saying to me, he goes, "Who the hell's going to buy this house?" He goes, "Oh my God, I did the numbers, the mortgage." He goes, and it was this. He goes, "How is that young couple doing?" I said, I don't know.
The bank of mom and dad.
But the bank of mom and dad, because the whole mishpucha were there for the showing, right?
But they would have to be.
They would have to be, right. And for sure, and that transfer of wealth, but also the division of wealth, and that, $8 million. Like, and I had clients who said, they were like, listen, once you're in that 8 million, 9 million, it's not a mortgage payment anymore, right? That's not what it is. And so those are selling.
Yeah.
And and ironically, there's very little of that also available. There's nothing.
I know.
Thank you, Joy. I feel like we could sit
This
here
was
all
lovely.
day. It was.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me.
Such an honor.
I'm so
to
proud
have
of you, sweetheart.
Thank you so much.
Okay.